So hey guys, it's me Anime What If and this is our new series What If Kakashi hates Naruto during Chunin exam. If you like this type of content, so don't forget to like and subscribe our channel and let's get started.
Devastatingly handsome as to make her swoon, not that any man could. Reconnecting with a severed bond? Possibly, he truly was one of the few people she was close to before she left and the only one she fully let her guard down for. Maybe, and if the fates were kind, they could have possibly been something, but her health was deteriorating. She only had a few more years left and was committed to dying by Sasuke's hand. She didn't have a future and tried hard not to think about what one could look like. A nice quiet life of a typical Konoha Junin was not in the cards for her, her services to the village robbing her of that chance. She'll never get to have a family of her own, maybe a little girl with her features and his coloring. One just as much a source of warmth and happiness as her father. A little girl encouraged to feel and grow in love however she chose. One that could risk it all, suffer 100 heartbreaks and still never lose her smile. Itachi quickly wiped away the tears that fell down her cheeks and berated herself for her flight of fantasy. There was no future for her, she killed her family and broke her precious little brother. All that was left to her was winding down the clock until she could atone and hopefully find a measure of peace in the Pure Land. Seeing it was still early, Itachi decided to get some more sleep, her dreams dominated by a pair of sunshine blondes that continually made her heart ache. Where are you going to go now? I don't have a clue, but nowhere would be safe for long. Zetsu is good at finding whatever interests him. Return to the village, we can clear things up, said Jiraiya. No, I have no place in the village, not anymore, replied Itachi as she finished tending to arm that had been severed at the elbow. She heard the fight between the sage and Pain and appeared near its conclusion, not being able to watch his Moss, a fellow Konoha shinobi, die. She incinerated Pain's bodies in a burst of black fire and immediately retreated with Jiraiya, only stopping to provide enough medical treatment to save his life. Now the pair were headed back to Konoha while Itachi was trying to make a plan to disappear until she could think of a way to neutralize the rest of the Akatsuki. The kid would be over the moon, you know. Even still, I cannot. Sasuke would attempt to attack me on sight and Naruto would attack him in retaliation while I try to prevent Naruto from attacking Sasuke. It'd be a mess, to put it mildly. Hey, so it would. There'd also be the Tsunade factor to consider. What does Tsunade-sama have to do with this? She thinks you seduced her grandson, son, little brother figure and wants to wring your neck. They have a weird dynamic. So, she knows? I knew they were close, but I'm surprised he divulged, replied Itachi. He didn't so much divulge as confirm. Tsunade did some checking into his history, added up 2 and 7 to get 5. It just so happens she was right. And how do you feel about this? However I feel, I'm tired, beat and missing an arm, so I can't exactly threaten my savior. But you know this won't end well. Everyone involved does. Everyone but the one with a malevolent mass of chakra that preys on his negative emotions. He thinks he can force a different outcome through will alone. Then this will be a good lesson for him, some things cannot change. Hi, an excellent lesson. But what happens when in his rage and despair he decides to burn the world around him? He wouldn't do that, replied Itachi. Why wouldn't he? Naruto comes off as light personified and honestly, I don't believe it's an act, but he subdued, captured and tortured the fucking darkness of shinobi because he thought the man might have information on you. What else might he do behind you? He has you, Tsunade and his team. He even has that little heiress of his. Tsunade and I are both old and high-profile targets. We could live another 30 years or be dead today, like you know. What was going to happen to me? He doesn't like his team. Well, he likes the pink-haired one, but even she tries his patience half the time. The heiress? Jealous much? Get nearly killed by a former student much? Deflect from the topic of conversation much? Use an outdated rhetorical device that you're much too old for much? Touché. I try. And no, I'm not jealous of the little stalker, why would I be? Except she's all wrong for Naruto. That's not jealous, it's just a fact. Sure, Itachi-chan, sure. Anyway, she'd support him, but it's asymmetrical and they both know it. Naruto wouldn't truly lean on her, he'd feel too guilty taking advantage like that. Jiraiya, what do you want me to do? In terms of Naruto, nothing. But I do have a mission for you. Orochimaru's second, Kabuto. We've been keeping light tabs on him. The Akatsuki will likely be too busy to do a dedicated search for you, at least for a month. You think you could see to him? Sure. Anything else? No, but there is somewhere I know you can hide out once you deal with Kabuto. Send a crow my way and I'll give you the information once you're done. Can you make it the rest of the way? Yay, shouldn't be an issue. The beating Tsunade will give me for coming back like this? Not prepared for that. Might be able to leverage a sympathy handjob though. I didn't need to know that, Jiraiya. Oh, please. Like you and the kid were just holding hands the entire time. Tell me, is my student a low-key pervert? Did I at least corrupt him properly? I'm going to leave before I set you on fire. Goodbye, Jiraiya, Itachi said before disappearing in a murder of crows. Jiraiya accepted the pain as he laughed, not failing to notice the light pink on the kunoichi's cheeks. Oh yes, his student was an undercover pervert. Jiraiya was, to both his credit and detriment, a very curious person. No one becomes a spy, let alone a mastery spy, by not taking a keen interest in various topics, so when his annoying, training-obsessed apprentice decided the two needed to be apart for the day, Jiraiya had to know why. The kid had done well to give him the slip, but talent doesn't beat experience, and soon enough Jiraiya found his charge. To his shock, he saw the teenager with a, apparently, slightly older woman. One that, interestingly enough, looked a lot like Shizune. Jiraiya idly wondered if Naruto secretly harbored an interest in Tsunade's own apprentice. It would also explain his utter disinterest in all other women until he could find one that looked close enough to his heart's desire. God knows he had done that in his youth, and there weren't exactly a lot of women running around that looked like the Senju princess. He respected his apprentice's privacy and went about his own activities for the day, expecting to see Naruto later that evening. It was the next morning before Naruto returned, and Jiraiya had a blast mocking his student. Naruto refused to give any details, likely assuming it would curtail Jiraiya's remarks, but it only made it worse as the known author spun tale after tale about Naruto's late-night exploits and even stated he should warn Shizune before they returned. Naruto took his master's insufferable behavior with a smile. He never would speak about his encounter with the mystery lady, only ever saying it was private and outside of the occasional jab. Jiraiya respected it. He may not be able to turn his student into a general pervert, but he can be a focused pervert like Minato. It was his duty as master and godfather, after all. He had never been this angry. Killing the two advisors had done nothing to sat his bloodlust or reduce his rage. The words of that man, the alleged Madara, ringing in his head. Itachi was ordered to kill your entire clan by one Danzo Shimura and supported by the Hokage's two advisors. She did it to protect the village but couldn't harm her precious little brother. He said, and it sent Sasuke into emotional overload. But it was the next tidbit that sent his confusion into blind fury. Itachi had been in contact with Naruto. In fact, Naruto was the last person Itachi spoke to before she departed from the village, and the man alleged she had seen him several times since then. The two had some sort of relationship, and Itachi had betrayed the supposed Madara for the dobi. Sasuke thought back to the last confrontation between Itachi and he quickly realized Naruto intervened on her behalf and denied Sasuke his revenge. A part of him was thankful, the part of him that saw his sister as innocent and forced into a bad position. Another part of him was infuriated. She should have ignored her orders even if her clan was planning a coup. She should have chose family, and she certainly shouldn't be so close to Naruto. So many lies, so much betrayal. The man offered Sasuke a place with him, but he turned the man down, finding him to be inherently untrustworthy. The man accepted but said Sasuke would soon see things his way and left without further word. It was 10 minutes later that the village was under attack and hysteria ensued. Sasuke ignored his duty as a Konoha, no longer caring about the people his sister sacrificed his family for. His only goal was to find Danzo and the advisors. He had no luck with Danzo but found the advisors readily enough. They died slowly and confessed it all. How they suspected an Uchiha was behind the Kyuubi attack, how there had been growing distrust between the clan and the village, and how the Sandaime tried to reach a peaceful resolution. They weren't even sorry, he could see it in their eyes. He stabbed them both through the heart with his Chikuto. By the time he was finished, he watched as Naruto, his best friend, was welcomed to the village as a hero. He seethed but chose not to make a scene just yet. He'd wait until the perfect time before he confronted Naruto and got the answers he desired. It hadn't taken long, as the dobi made haste toward a medical tent. One Sasuke overheard contained Tsunade. She had apparently stressed her reserves trying to heal as many of these worthless ingrates as possible. Seeing the two were alone, Sasuke assumed it was the perfect time to corner Naruto and moved quickly to do just that. What he hadn't expected was for Naruto to speak before Sasuke had even gotten a chance to announce his presence. You need to ease up on that killing intent, Sasuke. Some might think you mean to do Tsunade harm and that wouldn't be good, he said, never turning to look at his teammate. Sasuke chose to ignore Naruto's words, too angry at the potential traitor in front of him. What is your relationship with Itachi? Tell me, now, Sasuke barked. Tisk, Naruto uttered before running a hand through his hair. He then turned to look at Sasuke and it sent a shiver down Sasuke's spine. Enraged or not, his sanity splintering by the second, Sasuke couldn't forget that sequence. It's the same thing that happened when Sasuke tried to defect, when he missed hitting Naruto with a Chidori. The blonde made the same sound, ran a hand through his hair and then looked at Sasuke with cold eyes. No trace of amusement or joy could be found. His eyes only contained a promise of pain and suffering to whomever met their gaze. It was as if there was a switch that flipped and a more ruthless and aggressive Naruto took hold. To this day, it was the worst beating and most humiliating defeat of his life, and now he was gazing into those same eyes. You don't ever demand things from me, Naruto said neutrally, voice as dry as Kakashi's normally is. You will answer me, Naruto. Will I, now? Yes, or else. Be careful, Sasuke. You haven't crossed a line yet, but you are nearing it. Don't act cocky, Dobi. You look exhausted. There's no way you could fight me, but I'm still fresh, Sasuke said, but truthfully the calm the Dobi was exuding was throwing him off. And yet, I'm the only one of us not concerned. Go away, Sasuke. I'll discuss this with you later. You will not ignore me, Naruto. What is your relationship with Itachi? That's the second time you've made a demand of me, Sasuke. Don't let there be a third. Sasuke couldn't believe this insufferable, arrogant second-rate shinobi. How dare he dismiss him? How dare he keep information about Itachi from him? How dare he? Sasuke needed answers. He needed to know if Naruto had been lying to him this entire time, if he was just some plant by Itachi to make sure he could never kill her. Were you ever really my friend, Naruto? The question you should be asking yourself is if you were ever really mine. What is that supposed to mean? It's an exercise to help you shift perception. Clearly someone has told you something. I can smell the blood on you, Sasuke, and yet none of the paths of pain bled. Whose blood is that? I guess you've done something stupid, once again. Whatever set you off has clearly made you crawl up your own ass, so once again, Naruto must help the Uchiha as the Uchiha can't help himself. We passed Kakashi's bullshit genin test because of me. I beat Haku when he made you a pincushion. I fought when Orochimaru had you ready to piss yourself. I beat Gaara when you were tapped out. I saved you from becoming a traitor and even wrote to have you paroled. I train with you every day to help you improve. I even give you advice when you fuck up with Sakura and she wants to cave your skull in. All that I do for you and you ask me if I were your friend? Just because you do those things doesn't mean you do it out of friendship. And yet, what have you ever done for me? Sasuke was left speechless. How did this become a referendum on him? He's the one that's been betrayed, the one that has been delayed from his justice, that had his village order the genocide of his clan. Why is Naruto bringing this up now? But you charge in here, demanding things of me, why the closest person I've ever had to a mother lies here comatose. I need to know, Naruto. Did you stop me from killing Itachi? Sasuke asked, his mental state dissolving by the minute. Of course you need to know. And because you need to know, the world should make it so. But, I am not. Leave, Sasuke. Why won't you just tell me? He shouted. Why won't Naruto just answer his question? Why the game? It must be true, he was never his friend and has been working for Itachi this entire time. Because it isn't important right now. The village is in shambles. Our leader is down. That's more important than your quest for vengeance. Not to me, it isn't. Nothing is more important than getting justice for my clan, and if you stand in my way. If I stand in your way, what? I'll kill you. Tisk. I'm going to break both your arms and legs this time, Sasuke. However, if you try to do anything near Tsunade, I'll remove your eyes as well. I promise. Naruto spoke with absolute confidence. Sasuke reluctantly agreed to move their conversation elsewhere, and the two relocated to Training Ground 7. Last time, Naruto, what is your relationship with Itachi? Please Naruto, just tell me it isn't true. Naruto simply shrugged. His patience had worn thin and he'd forgiven one enemy today. That was apparently his limit. If the Uchiha wanted a redo of their last serious fight, then he'd get it. Before the two could even enter their fighting stances, they were surrounded by Anbu. By orders of Jonin Commander Shikaku, Sasuke Uchiha, you are under arrest for the murders of advisors Kaharu Utatane and Homura Mitokado. Spoke Neko. Those fossils ordered the death of my clan. I had every right, Sasuke said, snapping at being denied information from Naruto and being accused of a crime as if he'd done something wrong. Naruto could only shake his head. There was no way he could get the fool out of this one. Not even leveraging his newfound status as the village's hero will stop it. He promised Itachi he'd protect her precious person, but has clearly failed in that regard. The thought burned Naruto in the pit of his stomach. He went back on his Nindo, through no fault of his own, because this fool couldn't be bothered to wait. Or act like a shinobi and actually get away with his activities. Feeling an overwhelming need to hurt Sasuke, Naruto wished the Anbu weren't here. Oh, the seals he could use for this occasion. Naruto was broken from his line of thinking when an Anbu spoke. Stand down, Uchiha. We have been cleared to use force as you have violated the conditions of your parole. I will not, Sasuke said, drawing his Chikudo. Naruto, you have one last chance to tell me what you know about Itachi or their blood will be on your hands. Tisk, stop saying that, Sasuke yelled before dashing toward Naruto, only to be stopped by a last-minute visitor in an orange mask who promptly warped Sasuke away. Oh my, it seems he's quite upset with you, Naruto. Imagine how mad he'll be when I tell him you banged his sister. Tisk, if you've only come to run your mouth, then flee back into your little rat hole, coward. I'll be around to settle all accounts with you soon enough, said the Jinchuriki. Oh, you've become interesting. I'm almost tempted to see if you could back it up. True, you may have defeated Nagato, but I'm on an entirely different level. Only because you're above ground. Go tend to your bitch boy before I change that. Besides, the only Uchiha with any nuts was the one born without them. Little chicken ship Uchiha hiding behind a mask. Can become intangible and still couldn't beat the Yondaime. How useless you are, little failure. Watch your mouth, boy. Spoke the masked Uchiha. Or what? Attack anyone here and I'll kill you. Ah, but what of Tsunade? She's all alone. PFF'd, you actually think I'm not a shadow clone. Such poor deduction skills, but you think you're a threat to me. Flee, little failure. I've decided you get to live another day. But know this, whatever monumental fuck up you did that caused you to seek this path and hide your face, nothing you do will make up for it. I'll enjoy killing you, boy, just like I killed that loudmouth mother of yours. Oh, you killed a woman right after she gave birth. Truly you are a god among men. The masked man simply vanished, saying nothing else in response. We need to get to Tsunade. I am not a shadow clone and I can't let that asshole call my bluff. The entire Anbu party obeyed and left via Shunshin to their vulnerable leader. The idea seemed perfect. Sasuke was withdrawn and a loner due to his past trauma. Sakura truly cared for him and would be an emotional support. Naruto was bright and outgoing, friendly with anyone who'd give him half a chance and actual friends with Sakura. The three had the template for overlapping skill sets that would make them a stunning team. Sasuke and Naruto might even establish a rivalry to push them forward. He'd pay back Obito and his sensei and maybe train legends. It couldn't fail. He'd lost most of Naruto's respect the day of their true genin test. He'd made a crack about Naruto being a dead last, knowing it wasn't true but as a psychological ploy. Naruto just looked at him as if he were absolute scum. Then during the end of the test when he tied Naruto up he'd permanently broken something between them. Sakura wouldn't listen to Naruto because she was too conditioned to follow orders, so the idea that Kakashi would trick her just wouldn't enter her mind. Sasuke was too arrogant to think he needed a team. Naruto figured out the test so he had to be the one tied up. If either of the other two were, Naruto would just feed him or her and pass without the other two really understanding the meaning of the exam. Naruto took it as another form of discrimination, another person deciding he was stupid and a failure despite all evidence. He was never invested in the team, not how Kakashi wanted. He'd follow orders but the dedicated Kakashi demanded. The emotional connection that made the team work instinctual wasn't there. Kakashi refused to teach them much else until it was. Naruto took it as negligence and made an even bigger show of doing what Kakashi commanded, but only that. He wouldn't open up to Kakashi, wouldn't acknowledge him as a real sensei. Kakashi didn't train him for his Chunin exam finals, and Naruto only said he'd expected as much from someone like him. He promptly left, not even being told of the trainer Kakashi had arranged nor his justification for dedicating his time to Sasuke. If Naruto were a better teammate, he'd acknowledge that Sasuke was in greater risk and needed the extra help to survive Gaara. If Naruto could just give Kakashi a little bit of leeway, he'd see he didn't view Naruto as a dead last idiot, it was just a ploy. He didn't ask for Naruto to be on his team just to reinforce the perception he was a loser and an idiot. He just wanted to train his sensei's son, but train him how he wanted to. Immense chakra capacity doesn't entitle you to jutsu, and yet if he wasn't seeing a visibly improvement in his skills, Naruto found Kakashi's teachings to be worthless. He just rejected everything the man stood for, but did it in a way he could never be held accountable for it. He lost all of Naruto's respect when he argued Naruto wasn't ready for Chunin. That he couldn't brush off slights from his comrades and was insubordinate when he didn't get his way. Kakashi had felt his words were true when he spoke them. Naruto should have forgiven Kakashi for their genin exam. He should have tried to truly connect with Sasuke instead of pretending while secretly resenting having to spend time with them both. He should have accepted that Kakashi wasn't holding them back out of malice or laziness, but teamwork was the bedrock of Konoha teams and no other skill was as important as that. If Naruto refused to buy into his system, then he didn't deserve to advance his ninjutsu. Besides, Kakashi knew if Naruto had received the promotion, then he would have left the team, and it wasn't time for that. He wasn't supposed to leave, he was supposed to want to be part of this team. Sasuke attempted to defect. Kakashi could believe it but was heartbroken all the same. The boy couldn't outrun his demons, it appears. He traveled as fast as he could to, hopefully, find both Naruto and Sasuke fine. When he came upon the scene, the valley was wrecked and Sasuke was on the ground in a broken and bloody heap. When he went to address Naruto, his student said only one thing, "Tisk," and promptly shunshined away. Sasuke had a broke right arm, fractures in his left leg, bruised ribs, broken right clavicle and a severe concussion according to the medical ninja. Naruto didn't speak to Kakashi again before he left with Jiraiya, but Tsunade made a point of granting Naruto a field promotion to Chunin for the success. He returned, from a boy to a young man. Kakashi hoped to put the past behind them, to make amends, having come to terms that he wasn't the sensei he should have been. That he couldn't demand emotional investment and withhold potentially life-saving skills until he got it, but one look in Naruto's eyes told the tale. He was still scum to him. To Naruto, Kakashi was only a collection of every time he disappointed the blonde and nothing else. He, surprisingly, accepted he'd have to stay on Team Kakashi given the Akatsuki threat, but Kakashi assumed it's only because it came from Tsunade. That first training session, on the surface, was tension-free, but Kakashi could see Naruto holding back. Making sure to appear just a little slower than Sasuke, a little less astute in his tactics. A sign you didn't fully trust your team if there ever was one. And now, Kakashi sits in the chair. In his sensei's chair. In the Sandame's chair. In Tsunade's chair and, without a doubt in his mind, in Naruto's future chair. He is supposed to speak with the gravitas and authority of those who have sat here before him while meeting the gaze of the one who will sit here in the future. Tisk, can you repeat that, Hokage-san? Kakashi had taken note of his new verbal tic. According to Jiraiya, it seems to emerge during times of great stress but goes away in a few days. The honorific was not suitable, but if Kakashi pressed it, he knows the retort Naruto has prepared. What makes you think you're more worthy of respect than Gigi or Bachan? The blonde would ask, and Kakashi felt ill at ease enough in this position without having that confrontation. The Anbu that tried to apprehend Sasuke said he mentioned something about you and Itachi having a connection. What did he mean? Since he asked a question, I assume he wanted me to confirm or deny if we did. And I didn't get around to answering it. We got interrupted. Naruto, do you have some connection with Itachi? Do you? You were her Anbu captain. Stop changing the subject. Kakashi ordered, and Naruto had to fight the urge to ask what Kakashi would do if he didn't. He was not in the correct frame of mind to deal with the Cyclops, and the village didn't need another Hokage in a coma, but Kakashi really needed to watch his foo. Calm down. Jiraiya spoke. While the two had gotten close during their training trip, the month away for sage training had evolved their relationship further. Having no more lies between them along with Jiraiya almost dying made Naruto let down his defenses, knowing he could trust his master and godfather. And his deep voice could be soothing, however it wasn't as simple as staying calm or not. He didn't know why he'd get keyed up like this over certain things, but it wasn't as simple as turning it off, and it didn't help that Kakashi now occupied a position he clearly wasn't worthy of and had the nerve to question Naruto over what some traitor said. Deep breaths, Naruto, he thought to himself. It's not like he could fight Kakashi and his 4 Anbu guards even if they aren't fully at the ready, and Kakashi's guilt over Sasuke would dull his initial reaction. Damn sensory ability, he thought. He really did need to calm down. Why are you so concerned with the accusation of a traitor and not, his treason? Something set him off, Naruto. He'd been improving, so for him to turn his back on everything, something happened. Tisk. Yay, the Uchiha who rescued him. It was in the report. Yes, but it's also a matter of what he said and why Sasuke felt the need to come to you after killing the advisors. They had been at this for 20 minutes. Jiraiya knew Naruto didn't hold much affection for Kakashi, but this is the first time he saw the extent that Naruto felt no respect for the Chunin. While he knows why this really wasn't the time, they had things to do and it was a waste to play this game, especially with the Gokage summit coming up. Jiraiya didn't enjoy what he was about to order Naruto to do, but if Kakashi was going to be the acting Hokage, he needed to have all the information he could. Naruto, tell him. His godson didn't turn away from Kakashi. A stare down wouldn't change things, but Jiraiya saw the reluctance in his body, some part of him entertaining the idea of just refusing, knowing it'd be pointless. He doesn't delay for long before speaking. Itachi was my Anbu guard. She broke protocol and became my friend. We met a few times during my training trip. Why? Why would you betray Sasuke like that? You've got to be fucking with me, said Naruto, as he couldn't believe his first concern was the supposedly betrayal of Sasuke and not putting himself at risk or betraying the village. Danzo and the elders ordered Itachi to kill the Uchiha clan as the leaders were planning a coup. Itachi isn't a traitor, Sasuke actually is. Now, save your recrimination for later, Kakashi. You have the information you need, and as one of your only field-ready S-rank nins, Naruto's time is better spent elsewhere. I think that's my decision, Jiraiya. Then make the smart one and wrap this up, said Jiraiya, who too was shocked by Kakashi, first concern being his Uchiha brat. Fine. Naruto, what was the nature of these meetings between Itachi and you? We played board games. Board games? Yay. Checkers, Monopoly and the like. You can leave, Naruto. Thanks, Hokage-san, Naruto said before departing. He really holds no respect for me. I see. I'm kinda surprised. He tends to find something to respect about everyone, even enemies. Or absentee godfathers. That trained the kid properly for years. I explained why I wasn't here, copped to not doing all I could have. He was disappointed but forgave me. You acted like a brat. It wasn't enough to get what you wanted if you didn't get it how you wanted it. You clearly favor that traitor over your other students. It's not that I favored Sasuke, even if no one will ever believe me. I know how it looks. I've spent more time developing him than Sakura or Naruto, but it wasn't out of favoritism or because Sasuke was like me or a genius and easy to train. I honestly thought he needed it more. He wasn't like Naruto, he didn't make connections to help with his trauma, he turned inward and it wasn't healthy. His genin team and sensei could have been a new family. I was trying to solve what I assumed was the most immediate and dire problem, a damaged flight risk. All Naruto had to do was try to truly connect. If he had, then we could have moved on. There is no rule that says you have to like your team, Kakashi. It was my rule. It was my team. If I demand a higher standard for teamwork, it was on them to meet it. Naruto routinely refused. Sasuke did, too. I'm aware, but truthfully he didn't know how to connect to people. Naruto just didn't like Sasuke. Which would have been in their files. You forced Naruto on a team you'd know he'd hate and make everyone assume he was a low-ranking student. You didn't have to teach him, Kakashi. Especially when you didn't teach him anything anyway. Asuma could have helped with his wind manipulation. Kurenai with his chakra control and tracking. You lobbied for him, played on Sensei's soft side to get Minato's boy, and then squandered his time and talent with your bullshit. And you know what's really sad? Sensei saw it all. Saw how miserable Naruto was to be with you and Sasuke. He felt guilty he'd done that to his grandson but had no other team to reassign him to. He was glad when I returned and made me promise I'd train Naruto seriously. True, I acted the idiot at first but I followed through. That's why Naruto forgave me, because I helped him become a better shinobi. I helped him face his challenges. Had he been stuck with you, he'd possibly be dead already or stuck as a genin. Was your petty revenge worth it? I honestly didn't see it as revenge at the time. I regret I spoke against him, but in the moment I didn't think he was ready. In the moment you wanted to spite Naruto for flouting your beliefs. You didn't care if he stalled his progress because all that mattered is him advancing your way, said Jiraiya, not allowing for Kakashi's delusions any longer. Also, keep in mind that Naruto never outright ignored your teachings like you did with Minato. He tried to impart the importance of teamwork. You were all about the mission, but he still trained and prepared you. We were at war. I guess Suna and Otto were just challenging us to a vigorous spar. I didn't know we were going to be invaded. That's how war works when you're a shinobi. They don't wave a banner, Kakashi. So, I just get labeled as the negligent sensei who favorites the genius even if it isn't true. You're about the only one that doesn't believe it to be true. Maybe that should tell you something. That I'm surrounded by idiots, replied Kakashi. Yes, it's everyone else that's wrong. Is there anything else I need to know about Naruto and Itachi? No. And you'd tell me if there was? No, I'd jeopardize the safety of a village I've been protecting a lifetime before you were born. Jiraiya replied before he exited, deciding to go find his apprentice. It didn't take Jiraiya long to find Naruto, though he waited for him to be finished with his other teammate as she appeared distressed. He approached as she departed, seeing Naruto stare out into the light of the training ground. Hey, kid, hey sensei, or do you prefer Kyofu? I never did ask you that. I'm just happy you don't call me pervy sage anymore, so whichever you feel appropriate, Naruto. I won't read into it either way. Cool. So, come to scold me? I think I have to wrap your knuckles a little. You were really pushing it with Kakashi. I know, and I have no defense. We can write it off as stress and Kakashi won't make a thing of it this time, but we don't know when Tsunade will wake up and she may not be in a condition to return to the hat when she does. If that's the case, Kakashi will be the Hokage, and for someone who wants that job it isn't smart to make an enemy of him. He could pick someone else. I considered that, but don't worry, I have a plan. Oh, this should be good. You'll like it as it literally cannot fail. See, if Kakashi picks someone over me, I'll drag his porn-loving ass out of that office and beat him in the middle of the street. I'll do the same for the person he picks. I can't see a single way that awesome plan could fail. I know, I'm awesome, Dat Bayo. War. That freak in the mask made it official. The 5 great shinobi villages will unite to defeat said masked man and his nefarious plot. But Naruto, Jinchuriki, Sage, Bad Mother Shut Yo Mouth will not be on the battlefield. He will not be giving aid to his comrades, sharing in their misery and pain. He will be hidden away because the masked man said he was coming for the only 2 Jinchuriki left. Naruto was not happy about that. Naruto let it be known he was not happy about that, but relented when Tsunade and Jiraiya argued it was the best thing for the alliance, even if they didn't agree with the decision. As a concession to this, Jiraiya said he knew some place Naruto and he could go and it'd have a connection with his past, Uzushio. They left at the dead of night. Naruto couldn't look his friends in the face as they prepared to go to war, partially for him. He felt enough shame already. He did leave a note for Sakura and Hinata wishing them well and a safe return, but it's all he could really do. He had a strong desire to punch the rakage in his mouth for his decision. The trip was silent, Jiraiya giving Naruto something of a wide berth, knowing his apprentice was already straining to accept he couldn't be there for his friends. As they traveled, Naruto thought he felt something following them and signaled Jiraiya to stop. He stretched his senses to their max, but the brief sensation he felt was nowhere to be found. Jiraiya concluded the kid was just looking for some action, to which Naruto rolled his eyes. The 2 travelers continued on their journey, but Naruto noticed Jiraiya was starting to act weird. He had a knowing smile which Naruto never found comfort in. When Jiraiya insisted they stop at an inn, Naruto thought nothing of it until he came out of the shower the next morning and Jiraiya gifted him a new set of clothes. Black pants and a black V-neck long-sleeve shirt that was a little snug and a freshly pressed sage cloak. The two chartered a boat to the former island nation, but Naruto was on edge due to Jiraiya's giddiness, but try not to think about it too much. His master had been down since the loss of his arm, even if he tried to hide it, so if he were excited about something Naruto would indulge the man. He didn't know how he'd feel seeing his ancestral home, but when they arrived on shore, he'd admit he felt wistful that he'd never truly know his clan, that he only had second-hand accountings of what Jiraiya said were a lively people. Distracted but not overwhelmed, he almost didn't notice it, a pinging of familiarity. He almost dismissed it as his mind simply wanting it to be true, wanting her to be here, but he'd learned to listen to his instincts and instead expanded his senses. A moment later he was looking at Jiraiya, his eyes demanding an explanation, but the pervert just smiled and shrugged. Naruto took off, his body in motion before he realized it, rapidly closing in on the chakra signature he'd sensed. It didn't take long for her to be in view, sitting beside a lake, her back to him. He started to walk slowly toward her, hoping against hope his childhood clumsiness didn't flare up and make him look uncool. Sage or not, he was still a 16-year-old. He sat beside her as she peered out onto the water, her eyes never leaving the serene view. He found himself unable to speak, having too many things to say and nothing to say at all. Isn't this what he wanted? No masks, false backstories or anything else between them. It'd just be them and they could be honest with themselves and each other. But Naruto didn't realize, not until he was without them, that those very things he felt got in the way offered a type of security, but now they didn't have those to lean on. In this moment he couldn't be anyone else. He was Naruto Uzumaki sitting by Itachi Uchiha, the woman he's had some manner of feelings for throughout the majority of his life, and he couldn't even talk to her. It was frustrating. Why was this so hard? As if sensing the crisis her companion was experiencing, Itachi turned toward Naruto and offered him a smile. Nothing overly large, and if one didn't know her they may even call it a smirk, but it was not. What it was something that fit her perfectly and sent a rush of heat throughout Naruto's chest. It also helped calm him down. They never relied on a great deal of verbal communication when she was his guard. There was no reason that needed to change right now. He could just enjoy her presence and hope she'd do the same. The two enjoyed the companionable silence for what felt like an eternity to the blonde, but he knew he had to say something. Loath as he was to make him the first topic during their time together, but he'd failed to live up to his promise. I'm sorry, I said I'd protect Sasuke from himself and I didn't. He said it just above a whisper, but Itachi could tell the utter sincerity of his words, not out of any real concern for her brother but because of the promise he made her. She shook her head at her fellow ninja, thinking that chivalry would get him hurt one day, but was touched he truly meant to keep his word to her. I don't blame you. Jiraiya told me what happened. It was an impossible situation. So, it was. Besides, do you really want to talk about my foolish little brother? I never want to talk about him, Datbeo. Shit, you still do that? Be careful or they'll put adorable under your